What's going on, everybody? Josh Callaway here alongside John Hoover, Ryan Chapman at the Alamodome in San Antonio, Texas, where Oklahoma closed out their 2021 season with a bang on Wednesday night, blowing out Oregon 47-32. Felt like a blowout for most of it. Oregon made a big push in the second half to make it somewhat interesting. Was never really in doubt, though. Sooners get the win in the final game, maybe, of Bob Stoops' career. Brent Venables' era begins now. He was in the building tonight along with Schmitty, both of them standing over there watching, surveying. It's intimidating for these guys to have Schmitty just staring laser beams into them while they're playing, knowing what's to come in the spring. It was a cool night, though, a transition, kind of the end of Stoops' career in a sense, and the turning of the page. And that's where we'll start, Hoove. This was as much the Alamo Bowl and the final game of the season as much as it was Bob Stoops' celebration night.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Whenever he retired, it was just the middle of the summer. You know, you didn't know it was coming. Nobody knew it was coming. Everybody knows, obviously, this is a one-time thing. And the whole night from start to finish, he walked out to an ovation from start to finish. It was kind of just Bob Stoops' night here.
He acknowledged the crowd when he came
like
out, which I've never seen him do before. That was something.
That was.
So he got that out of the way. Then he coached the game. Then he got a Gatorade bath. Then he got to exchange hats with Brent Venables in a passing ceremony, passing the torch kind of ceremony. Mm-hmm. I asked him about that moment, and he said, "Yeah, you miss the nervousness, you miss the anxiety of the pregame of not knowing what's going to happen." He said it was cool, and he said it was glad to be a part of it again. He said he missed it, and that was something that struck me. You know, that was my question, and his answer absolutely blew my question away. I was just like, wow, that was an impressive answer, because you saw an emotional, almost, heartfelt side of Bob Stoops. Right. How much this game means to him, the game of football, the University of Oklahoma. He poured himself into it one more time. Gave it everything he had, lived on an airplane for a week while they were hiring Brent Venables. Right. He was out recruiting. He was out talking to recruits. He was recruiting his own players. So this was something that meant a lot to him, and you could really tell.
Absolutely. It was a cool night, and obviously had that awesome Drake Stoops tutty, and he comes over and he hugs him. That's cool. That's obviously really, really cool.
It's a great moment.
It was. And so it was a kind of a celebration of Stoops tonight, again, just as much as it was the Alamo Bowl. Now, of course, the other big, star of this game tonight is Caleb Williams. While we know it's Bob Stoops' last game in Oklahoma, we don't know what is up with Caleb Williams. He had a chance post-game to say he was coming back. He didn't take it. He had a straight-up chance, and he didn't take it. Read into that however you want. He said he's going to go on vacation. He's going to think about things, I guess. But he was fantastic tonight.
Yeah, the Lincoln Riley era is definitely over as we got to speak with Caleb Williams. It was there was an interesting murmur that went through the room as they're setting up these little paper placards with the names.
He was the last one, too.
And I saw a Williams over there, and I probably annoyed the heck out of John. I, punched his arms look, it's happening. But when you go 21 for 27 for 242 yards, 3 touchdowns, doesn't get sacked, moves the ball on the ground, you deserve to come out. And when it's so clear, too, we know this, right? John's talked to him at the Sooner Summit. Caleb Williams is a guy that's made for the camera, made for the NIL era, because these days, especially if you're a quarterback, you're familiar with doing media from the time that you're in 8th, 9th grade, rolling all the way through. And Caleb Williams dominated on this field. He dominated that press conference room. He started just answering other people's questions. He was throwing zingers over at Bob Stoops, messing with Kennedy Brooks. He was a guy that was supremely comfortable. But yes, Josh, like you said, it was a very weird answer, frankly, when Eric Bailey of the Tulsa World, he asked him pretty much, hey, address your future.
Here's your chance, man.
Caleb went on this weird tangent. He was intentionally, it felt like, backloading so that the last sentence of his statement was going to be the one everyone runs with. And then there just wasn't any punch. There wasn't we're going to talk it over. He's just like, yeah, I'm going to go on vacation with my family, want to finish up the semester. Cool. And so the search goes on. On the stage, Brent Venables said Caleb Williams will lead the offense next year.
Yeah.
Theo Weiss is out of the portal. I mean, if you want to start connecting dots, it's what we've been doing all year long, or all since Bedlam. But no definitive answer tonight in San Antonio. So I guess Sooner Nation, you have to wait a little bit longer for the quarterback to make his decision.
Got to keep waiting. And boy, when he was talking, you could hear a pin drop in there. It was everybody just, what's he going to say,
He loves Sooner fans.
He did, and that was the thing. He's really tugging OU fans' heartstrings here because he had a chance to say he was staying and he didn't take it. But then, unprompted, at the end of the press conference, he says, OU fans, I freaking love you. And I love to use other language, but I'm going to keep it PG, basically, is what he said. But I freaking love you. And then he made a comment about the crowd tonight. 59,000 fans, that's awesome. So he obviously loves Oklahoma. He loves Oklahoma fans, but again, had the chance to say, I'm staying, and he didn't take it. So I don't know what you read into that. But yeah, I don't know. We're going to continue to do this, sounds like for a little while longer here, moving forward into the off season now for Caleb Williams. Now, of course, this game, obviously, we'll kind of what we saw on the field. It's hard to know what to put into it because it is so weird. We talked about that leading up to it, and what does it mean to next season and all that stuff. But as for this game, Oklahoma dominated the first half. It was 30-3 at halftime. Then the secondary just fell asleep in the second half, let Oregon get back into it.
Yeah, I looked it up. The last the 3 touchdown passes that Anthony Brown threw in the second half and early fourth quarter covered 130 yards between them. He basically just chucked it deep 3 times and was caught 3 times behind the secondary. Both Woody Washington and DJ Graham at fault for coverage busts or bad eyes or bad technique or whatever it was.
Right.
They fell asleep and they let the guy get behind him. Now, maybe they were lulled to sleep by Anthony Brown's inability to complete a pass in the first half. He was pretty bad. Brian McClendon, the interim coach, might have said something to the guys at halftime. He said, come out, forget about that. Let's go out and play one play at a time. Basically, how do you eat an elephant? You eat it one bite at a time when you're down 30-3 at halftime. That's what Oklahoma did. That's what Oregon came out and did to Oklahoma in the second half. But the first half was a wipeout. I mean, Kennedy Brooks, Eric Gray, both of them averaged 10 yards a carry for the game. You saw Marcus Major come in the fourth quarter and be the closer. Where has that been?
Hello, Marcus. How you
Lincoln
doing?
Riley, right? Where Lincoln Riley never trusted Marcus Major to come in and do that in a game except for when? Last year in the bowl game. Remember that?
Right.
Marcus Major bowl star, I guess. But the receivers had a big game. Marvin Mims had a 55-yard touchdown right here in this end zone. You saw Mario Williams get his helmet ripped off.
Should have counted.
On his way to a
Should have counted just
touchdown.
for being cool. It was too cool.
They got to tweak that rule. When there's no danger to the guy, you got to not blow that ball dead because he was walking into the end zone. He should have had a touchdown, but
definitely.
What a game, what a performance. And then the defense. First of all, I thought Cale Gundy was spectacular calling in the offense. That was something that, if Jeff Lebby, we presume, is going to, at some point in the next couple of years, probably get a head coaching job, right? That's how it works. I think Cale Gundy had a great audition tonight to be the next Oklahoma offensive coordinator. And then the defense, man, I thought Brian Odom called a great first half, and then things kind of started falling apart a little bit in the second half. But here's the thing. You want that complimentary football, right? You've been talking about it all year. Oklahoma, when they gave up a touchdown in the second half, they answered with a touchdown, or at least a Gabe Burkich field goal. They got something every time the Oregon scored, and that was something that made sure that this didn't fade like a lot of Lincoln Riley's games in the past and in the second half have faded.
Right, and boy, there was a long stretch in this game where the offense was just unstoppable. Yeah. It felt like, and was
they scored 8 straight.
Yeah,
Is that
8
what
straight
it was?
possessions.
6 touchdowns, 2 field goals.
And they had an attitude of like, we can do whatever we want, and it didn't. I don't know if I felt like that in any other game this year, quite honestly. And there was a fourth down.
I would agree.
There's a fourth down where Burkich and some of the special teams started to come on, and Caleb Williams and Tyrese Robinson, a bunch of linemen, they all were, get out of here.
There was a moment
They're not stopping us.
Where Cale Gundy, 4th and 2, he puts Caleb Williams under center.
Yes.
And they get the power formation behind him, and Oregon runs out there and calls timeout and says, we're not ready for this under center stuff. We haven't seen that on film,
Right.
Thanks, Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, then there's a great option play. He dumps it off to Jeremiah Hall, first down. It was great.
Very clever play calling by Cale Gundy.
He was fantastic. I agree there. We got balloons popping in the background now. It was a lot of balloons, an obscene amount of balloons at the Alamo Bowl. All right. Ryan, we'll kind of close on, obviously, we'll launch ourselves into the offseason a little bit already here. What does this do for you? I mean, it's like, last year, Florida blowout. It was all fun through the offseason. Didn't end up mattering. Or, I don't know. What do you put into it, right? This is different. It's the same and different in some ways because now you're passing the torch to Venables. He was here, like we said. Bob Stoops in the postgame, like Hoover said, literally put the visor on him. It was really like, okay, I'm done, and now it's you. What does this do for you if you're Oklahoma as you launch into the offseason?
The game result should do nothing for you. John and I stood on the floor of the Cotton Bowl last year, and we're like, oh my gosh, look at this, springboard into the offseason, then you've got arrests and everything, and I don't have to recap it, weird season, underachieved.
It definitely got
sure.
the hype train going,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter if you don't, capitalize on it when the games actually come.
For sure, but as far as, like you said, a new regime coming in, it's going to be all those good feelings that you need for a Schmitty workout where everyone's miserable and they're like,
Oh,
okay,
boy.
well, we're building towards something like that.
Better make your time.
And here's the other thing too, is much like last year, a lot of those guys that were playing in that Florida game, not a ton of opt-outs, all that stuff, because those were guys that were going to play major roles in 2021. Now, did it pan out in Spencer Rattler's development, the offensive line, all that stuff? No. But if Caleb Williams comes back, this defense is going to come back. A lot of these skill position players, we heard Marvin Mims earlier this week basically say, I want to come back. If all those guys are returning, this is about as complete a performance as the Sooners have put in all year long. Probably the best offensive performance, no joke, this side of Western Carolina. Like,
Right.
I can't see how that's anything but a good thing when you have a new coaching staff that's hungry and motivated to come in and put their fingerprints on this program. Does it mean national title contenders, Big 12 contenders because they beat Oregon
Right.
today? No. But it was a great performance, and it shows that, all those things we thought about this team on the high end, they can achieve them. They just didn't at all this season, so they're going to have to find that consistency in the offseason. Maybe Brent Venables and Jeff Lebby are the two guys to get it out of them.
Right, and it feels like all roads lead back to that Caleb Williams decision. It's like if he puts out there, I'm coming back, and then coming off this with Venables coming in, the hype. I'm sure the hype train will be right back going. If not, a lot of uncertainty certainly going into next season.
The Boys and Girls Club of Akron needs another fundraiser, so let's get the decision part 2.
It would
let's get it
have
popping.
an obscene rating, at least in the state of Oklahoma. That's for sure. All right, that's it for now. Of course, check out allsooners.com. Loads of coverage from a wild Alamo Bowl. Lots of good stuff from this game. Bob Stoops' final game. Venables takes over. Caleb Williams was tremendous. Of course, listen to our post-game podcast. I don't know when we're going to record it. It's 3:08 right now, sitting here in the Alamodome. But it'll be up there soon, so keep an eye out for that. That's going to come out here in the very near future. We just scratched the surface of everything, all the storylines from this game. So be sure to check that out. allsooners.com, the place to be. Full post-game reaction, all the post-game recap. You can watch it. You can dissect Caleb Williams' answer for yourself. It's on there for you on allsooners.com. All right, that's it for now. Looking ahead. Next time we do a game, it'll be the spring game. A long time from now, feels like. That's it. Football season in the books. Oklahoma dominates Oregon tonight, 47-32. For Ryan Chapman and John Hoover, I'm Josh Callaway.